Good morning, everybody, on this beautiful April 17th. We're just around the corner from Easter, so Easter blessings on everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Love Your Vibe podcast. I'm Jennifer Hawkins, and I'm here with Eleanor Hayward and
Hello.
our amazing founder and miracle mindset coach healer, Elvira V. Hopper, the goddess of creativity. So thank you so much for joining us today, Elvira.
Oh my God, what a joy to be here. Honestly, like you guys are just rocking it. I watched your first episode of season 3 and you didn't even know you were making season 3, I believe. But I was just so inspired and Eleanor and I did season 1 and 2 and I just said you guys need to do season 3. You don't need me. And I'm just so glad you're doing this. You're amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So our talk today, our discussion today is around creativity. And I think a lot of us get stuck in a mindset that to be creative, you have to be an artist, formally trained, that the end result has to be this perfect outcome. And we're here to say that's a load of baloney. Load of baloney.
Yeah.
Creativity is your heart's expression, your soul's expression, your soul's language. It's the language that doesn't require words, unless, of course, words are your expression. Um, and I'll speak
Like
for,
you.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
just going to say my story started when I began this journey of personal development. Elvira, I was one of the last people who got to do the VIP mindset reset in person before it went online. And she kept hinting to me, you should write poetry. You could write poetry. And I would look at her like she had two heads. I'm like, me, I'm not a writer. I don't write. I do hair. So that for me was my creative expression, but it involved a lot of pressure from myself, expectation from my clients. So there was always this perfectionism hanging over me.
Mm.
And of course, rightfully so, because people are paying me to have them look beautiful. So it was really hard for me to separate creativity from perfectionism. That they just coupled. They were coupled for my entire career. And I've been doing hair for 35 years now. And the gift that I was able to witness with Elvira was when she began singing, and she would light up a room when she would sing, and she might hit a note off key sometimes, and it was still like I would still have tears in my eyes because it wasn't about the performance, it was what her heart was sharing, and it would bring tears to my eyes. So I courageously picked up a pen and I just said a little prayer, and my first poem I wrote in like less than 5 minutes. And I shared it with her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Jennifer, I'm crying." And I was just like, "Oh my God, it wasn't perfect, but it was my heart that had been holding on to these words, and it this something opened up inside of me, and everything started to change for me, like inside. And I'm not looking about my environment, but all of a sudden there was a piece of me that was heard that hadn't had a voice before. And that for me, what creativity is, it's finding that outlet that allows this expression, these parts of us that have been repressed or pushed aside because they don't fit into society's comfortable box. And it gives them that form of expression, whether it's, for me, it was words. And I think one of my first poems I actually shared earlier this week was about words. They're in me. I'm going to let them out. And it just opened up space that had been, it felt like something in a vice. And all of a sudden that vice just released and my heart grew 10 times that size that morning. I think of the Grinch every time I say that. And and there was a deeper layer of healing that was available. So I would love to hear all of our stories around creativity and what that means, but I would love for Elvira to share hers because it's so powerful and inspiring.
Mm.
Elvira is one who began this movement, the Miracle Mindset movement, and the Love Your Vibe transformation, of which we are very grateful and blessed to be mentors of. Eleanor is a trainer of all of our apprentices and future mentors. And we are so blessed to have this community headed by the amazing facilitator and coach healer, Elvira V. Hopper. So
Mhm.
please, we would love to hear your
Oh.
story, how this all began, and especially your story around the creativity piece is really
Mm.
powerful.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Oh my God, I love you guys so much. There's no way all of this would be happening without the two of you. You guys approached me when COVID hit, and you couldn't work anymore because you couldn't touch people, right?
You're
Massage therapist,
on a
hairdresser.
pencil. Yeah.
And you're like, we don't know when we're going to work again. And your modality saved our lives too. And we believe it's our duty to share it with the world. And I was like, and because years and years ago, I was told, when it saved my life, my sanity, my marriage, helped me achieve my virtual every dream, I was told it isn't just for you, it's for you to share with the world. Well, how the hell do I do that? Well, when you guys came many years later and said this is what you wanted to do, it was like, oh, this makes sense now, right? So you guys are fulfilling spirit's prophecy of what this was supposed to be. And Jennifer, let's not forget, years and years before that, I was sitting in your chair and I was telling you what I was doing, and you said, "One day you're not going to be doing that by yourself." And I just looked at you and I said, "You're right." And look what we're doing now, right? So it's just absolutely beautiful. And I'm so grateful for you guys. So yeah, so everything you shared, oh my God, I love that you realized there was a poet inside you, and that's what allowed you to get to your next level and deal with the low vibrations, because whenever you were dealing with low stuff, right, like depression or anxiety or any of the stuff you dealt with, that's the stuff I dealt with anyway. I would say, Jennifer, go write it out, get your feelings on paper. And sure enough, you wrote this amazing poetry, right? And I like to say, and I'm probably borrowing it, I probably didn't make it up, but full self expression beats depression. So when you're able to fully express yourself through your art, and for you, poetry is one of them, um, you can feel lighter. Go do something that lights you up. If you used to be a dancer, go dance again, right? If you're a singer in your heart and soul, take some lessons, get courage to get on stage, right? Even if you're just doing karaoke, like I used to do for many years. My story is I was a crappy karaoke singer, back in the 80s and 90s. And eventually, when I had my breakdown, after 20 years of corporate, living out of alignment, total crap magnet, it was my destiny to have that 2-year breakdown of depression, anxiety, panic attacks, bipolar, because if I hadn't had that, guess where I'd still be working now?
Yeah.
Big pharma, making six figures, living out of alignment, living from fix to fix to fix, numb out to numb out to numb out, not doing what I was brought here to do. So I'm so grateful for that breakdown that led to the breakthrough. And the breakthrough allowed me to start living as my higher self, not my ego self. And my higher self said, "You've got music in you." Just like my dad. My dad could sing like Pavarotti, but never did anything with his voice because he lived from ego and fear and just taking care of the family. And he was told good men are not on stages. So when
Mm.
I was 11 years old and I saw a bunch of women on stage singing and dancing, and I told my dad, I want to be one of them, he said, "You can't be one of them because those women are sluts." And so I was shut down and I had to become who he needed me to be so that he
Yeah.
would love me. And so I did that for 2 careers, 27 years, first in cancer research, then big pharma. There comes a point where you can't, the jig is up. You can't do that phony living anymore.
Yeah.
And either you can do it till you die and then you come back in another life, hopefully it'll be better. But for some people, they have to have a breakdown and a spiritual breakthrough. And for me,
Yeah.
the spiritual breakthrough was receiving the teachings and tools of Love Your Vibe. And what I realized is that I always sang from a place of shame because my father told me that good women were not on stages, right? Even when I was an Argos cheerleader back in the 80s, I whenever I went out on the field, because I was still living at home with my parents when I was 25, because that's the Italian thing. You can't move out because that would, like dishonor the family. So I remember whenever I'd leave to go to dance on the field for the Argos, that was one self-expression for me that I loved, right? I love singing and dancing. I'm an artist. That's what I do, performance art artist. But whenever I did it, he would say, "Oh, you're going to go shake your butt out on the field and show all the boys," and I'm like, "What?" Like, "Dad,
Mm.
step off." At that point, I was ready to, and then a couple of years later, I got married. So, anyway, but the point is that when I realized I've got music in me and this music was gifted to me and it's not about me. Because what happens in the Love Your Vibe transformation is you realize that you are one with your higher power. You actually channel when you're an artist, you channel. It's not about you and your ego creating and getting stuck in, writer's block and procrastination and perfection. It's
Yeah.
about you and spirit working together. And it's real. It's not perfect. Like you said, I can hit wrong notes. I don't give a crap if I hit wrong notes. I recorded my first jazz album at Jazz Bistro because I became professional at 51. And if I'm on stage and I hit a wrong note, I laugh to myself because I know that someone in the audience is meant to hear me not be perfect, but be real and go, oh, she started this at 51 and she's not even that good. I'm going to go do my thing too, right? So I
Love
give
that story.
permission to people to be more themselves and to be
Yeah.
fully self-expressed. But the good thing is that, I recorded an album. It's not perfect. It's real, brings people a lot of joy, and that's what I'm here to do. Live my joy and show others what's possible. And the cool thing is I'm winning awards for being a jazz singer. Like, what the hell? Like, am I really the best jazz singer? No, by any stretch. However, I believe it's the universe tapping me on the back and saying, you're in alignment. You're doing what you were brought here to do. Just keep going. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to drop the mic, so to speak, now and hand it over to Eleanor and hear her perspective.
I feel called out. Only because my soul is whispering to write a book series, and yet I'm coming to writer's block, procrastination, and perfectionism in my body. And I feel like that's our message for our audience. It's like we're not doing all of the things that we want to do, that there are always other reasons and excuses and fears of why we're not doing what we're doing. So that's, percolating in my consciousness to get started on that. Because I have like themes that I want to focus on. I've got a broad concept, but not like a story idea that just inspires me to just do it. So that's where I'm at. However, I can relate more in the career side of things because, as you'd mentioned, I was a registered massage therapist and I've been practicing for about 18 years until the pandemic hit. And I'd been going to university for mental health and like education in general. I was in social psychology and political science, how we operate as groups and how we operate within our institutions, our structures, our systems. And that just really fascinates me, um, because I find like what a lot of mental health in our culture is, it becomes an individual problem. It's your neurochemistry. It's your personal trauma, which tends to like gaslight us and enhance this individualism, but it doesn't take into account socioeconomic status or you're standing within your family, or are you really accepted for who you are as a neurodivergent person, for example,
Yeah.
or race, identity, whatever it is
Yeah.
that isolates us. So anyway, so that's where the Love Your Vibe transformation came in at the right time. Um, but also through the pandemic, I was inspired by a friend of mine to give up my RMT license because I felt like for years it had been kind of pushing me into a box that healing is, as a massage therapist, is a physical endeavor only. It's you and your tissues. And yet it didn't really take into the account like the mental, emotional stress that then will manifest in the physical body. That's just not really how our medical system has adapted yet. So I decided to become an inactive RMT. So for insurance purposes, I'm not covered anymore, but I still do body work and massage, but I call it holistic massage, that I'll offer Reiki and I'll offer acupressure tapping so that I'm educating and supporting people to reconnect to their soul, to be able to process their trauma in a different way so that they can feel more whole, that they're coming back to themselves. And it's
Yeah.
so rewarding, to do that. In 2019, or 2023, I mean, New Year's resolutions, and I kind of gave up resolutions. They don't really work for me, but I picked a word for the year, and my word for the year was joy. And because Elvira, you inspired me, it's just like, oh yeah, where is my joy? And I went on a journey and reclaimed joy from my childhood when adults kind of put you down and kind of suck like any
Yeah.
confidence out of me that I
Mm.
was just like, okay, so now like learning to be more joyful, because especially in a world that people are oppressed, that there's exploitation, it can feel like Jennifer had put her finger on it in the last episode, that she had a fear of joy. Because I feel like if we feel like we're joyful, then we're not honoring and respecting the struggles that people are going through.
Yeah.
So I was able to be like, okay, so just using the year to work on that joy. I mean, that sounds kind of working on it. But I did,
Curating it.
yes. So my healing creativity, creativity being the theme of our show here, that the healing art of massage and Reiki, it's an art. It's not a science. Like there is science that supports it, but the actual time that I'm with my clients, it is a creative healing art. And it was feeling fulfilling. And I kept saying to myself, I feel fulfilled. I feel fulfilled. This is great. And then it wasn't until I was working on the Love Your Vibe transformation. And in one of our lessons, we introduced an emotional intelligence wheel. And I noticed that fulfillment was branching off of joy. And I had
Oh,
not put
Never
those
connected it.
together.
wow.
So, like,
Awesome.
okay, I feel fulfilled in my creative healing art and I'm feeling more joyful. So it was just the universe saying, there you go, you're on the right path. Wink,
Wink.
wink.
That's
So
I
awesome.
I
love it.
encourage people, because I feel like, again, our society and even our family kind of pushes us in the box, right? It's be
Mhm.
a lawyer, be a doctor, right? Get the money, and
Yeah.
there's the whole starving artist philosophy,
Yeah.
or that rhetoric that if you're not perfect, if you're not getting paid, then don't even bother. It's just taking
Yeah.
your time. But I feel like we're learning slowly but surely that creativity is key to expressing the human soul. So I'm so proud of you, Jennifer, in your poetry. It's really touching. So share with us your story.
Oh, I've got so many of them. I guess I need to keep a story bank. Oh, my apologies, my little reminder. Um, yeah, for me, it was the fear of joy, and I realized in my journey that fear was just like my underlying, my foundation. It was my foundation. Fear was my foundation,
Mhm.
which I really believe well, I know for a fact, even though I've not talked to a lot of people that would admit that a lot of people run on that underlying fear and shame. And Elvira, I want to point out that every time you left the house after dad kind of, threw the wet blanket on you, oh, you're going to go and wiggle your bum. Like I felt that in my body. Like, how do you really show up in your
Oh,
shine when shame is holding onto your hand?
mm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I felt that. Um, when I chose, at 18, 19, you're supposed to make this decision that what are you going to do for the rest of your life? And I still to this day going, how am I supposed to know that at a stupid 18-year-old? Not that they're stupid, but life-wise, we've had no experience. Um, and I chose the path up to be a hairdresser, which back in the 80s was not something that people did. You did that if you didn't have the grades. Well, you can do better than that, Dad said.
Mhm.
And I've got a little bit of a don't effing tell me what to do. So I was like, well, I don't know what else to do. And nobody said, well, let's try, because I thought, oh, I'd like to be a teacher because that's in me too. I knew that I played teacher all my time growing up. That was one of my joyful things is
Same
being
here.
growing, lining up my little brother and my dolls, and I would teach everybody, right? And so I became a hairdresser, and for me it was like I'm going to prove to you that I'm really good at this, and I am really good at it. I'm
You
really good
are.
at what I do, to the point now where I choose what to do rather than pushing myself into a direction that doesn't feel aligned. Because then when I'm doing like fancy color, I realized this, I guess, after COVID, that I would push myself, and that weight of perfectionism, it wouldn't align because I thought I don't do this often enough that I can get good at it. So I'm just not, and I realized, what, there's so many other hairdressers. I don't have to do all the things. I'm a really amazing hair cutter and I'm an amazing artist. So how about
You're the
if I just
best.
kind of say, like, how about that? This is what I'm going to do. You want fancy balayage? I got the girl for you. You want fancy funky color? I got the girl for you. I don't have to do it. And that released that perfection. It allowed me to be, what do I want to focus my creativity in my, and I love that you pointed that out. Where do you find that creativity in what you're doing as your job, right?
Mm,
As soon as I
yeah,
took the pressure off that I had to make everybody happy doing what they wanted, I was like, I'm going to focus on what I love and make the people that I serve create happiness and joy for them because they feel really good because I'm in a good vibe. I'm in good
mhm,
energy when I'm doing the thing that I love doing.
yeah,
So, invitation to really look at what you're doing as a career and find if there's something about your vocation in that. Like for those who arrive at their vocation as their purpose, you're probably living a really high vibe life, and that's phenomenal. All of us, we've had to kind of figure out, like Eleanor and myself, we're still doing our job, but we're finding the vocation in that, right? We're finding that the soul journey in that. So even as a hairstylist, I speak to people, we call it therapy. I speak to people about their mental wellness and their well-being. I, I and they invite that because I'm not the same person that they knew 6 years ago. They see the change that I've gone through. And I think that's part of my purpose is how do I show people my life hasn't changed. I've changed in my life.
yeah,
I find the pearls in my day. Instead of being going, oh, I can't wait till I finish work. It's like, what is giving me joy right now? What are the beautiful things I can focus and give gratitude for? That's creativity. Everything that we have around us in our space. This is one of our past mentors who brought this, and I'd never thought about this. Everything that we see around us is a creation. It's a creative process. This mug, somebody dreamt this up and created it. It's an
mhm,
expression. Like, so when you start looking at the mundane through that filter of it doesn't matter what I create, as long as when I'm doing it, I feel this expansion in my chest, I feel this joy rise to the surface. And because we're so not used to it, or a lot of us are fearful of joy, it's like, oh no, it's not safe. Not safe, not safe. We don't do this. And ego pulls you back into the box. We will seek the comfortable and the common because that's what we're used to. Trauma would keep us in the cycle that it's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable.
yeah,
So stepping out and allowing, and it's titrating. You step into that joy. Okay, this feels different. Don't, if it's dipping, like I dipped my toe, I would write a poem once a week. I started there. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to share this with Elvira and see how that feels, right? And so I titrated into it. And now I write poetry and I post it on the internet. And and I'm not attached to the outcome. I hope the message reaches somebody or touches somebody because any art is about emotion, right? But I'm not hung up on it that, oh, I can't share this. This is mine alone. And this is the lovely thing too about any kind of creative endeavor is if it's not ready for you to share, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not ready to be shared with. Maybe it's just for you, and that's okay too. That's okay too. It's about that expression and finding that voice that has not been allowed to to show itself, these parts of us that we've repressed. And, the inner child, we do a lot of inner child work in the Love Revive transformation. And it's holding those parts that weren't allowed to have that expression. And we can reparent them and say, hey, you're doing really, really good. It's okay if you missed colored outside of the lines. That's really okay because you can create another line. The lines are guidelines, but we can do whatever we want, you know? Elvira, would you like to speak to that? Because I
yeah.
know that inner child bit is really, really important in your work as well.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah. I
parenting
really
and
focus. Yeah. So one of the ways I express myself is I became a jazz singer at 51. I'm going to be 63 this year. So I've only been doing it, 12 years professionally, but I've had more musical miracles find me than virtually any musician I know. I have two incredible jazz bands. I've got this album, sold out. Jazz Bistro like three out of the four times I was there, winning awards, through the Mississauga Reader's Choice. And it's not about me. It's not about my ego. Like most musicians are on stage, look at me, I'm the singer, I'm all that in a bag of chips, like, but my perspective is look at me, what is it showing you? Like, are you being inspired to go do your thing too? Because I have so much joy up here and you want a little bit of that? Or are you healing through my music? So many times on stage at Jazz Bistro, I'd come off the stage, people would be crying, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, Elvira, I didn't know I was still grieving my mother, and you did her favorite song, and I cried my eyes out, and I feel so much lighter. And I'm like, cool. And I didn't know for many years that I was helping people heal through my music. But then when I had the opportunity in 2018 to become a sacred sound healer, now I actually help people heal with my music. So this is one of the ways that I get to express myself through my art is through sound healing. And I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I have a little sound healing set up there. Alka Bailey, one of our apprentices, created that. And there's 7 sacred chakra bowls, and I do free sound healings once a month in Miracle Magnet Zone. If you want to join us, I'm doing one next Sunday. This Sunday's Easter, the one after, and I think it's 7:30 Eastern Standard. Did I say that right? Yeah. So join us in Miracle Magnet Zone if you want to come. But one of the key things you mentioned it, Jennifer, is that I'm always talking about our divinity, staying connected to our higher power, our higher self, which is in alignment, and also healing our inner child, because we all have a little child in us that was told we weren't good enough, we were too much, we were bad, we were wrong. I was beat every day, like from here till Tuesday, and it was not, it was the best my parents could do because that's all they knew. But today, I have done so much inner child work, especially through my sound healing, and I help others do it as well. So, yes, definitely we need to heal our inner child so that we have the courage to be expressive. And one client of mine, she came to me when she found me very serendipitously when her doctor had put her on meds for depression. She said, "There's no freaking way I'm filling this script." And she came to hear me speak, and she learned about my story, and she realized what's possible for her, and now she's on stages, she's performing as an actor, and it was so amazing. So full self-expression beats depression. And so in our beautiful Love Your Vibe transformation, we come together in small groups. You guys were the leaders at first, and now we're building more leaders to hold space for this beautiful inner work. Creativity was one of the key pillars that was shown to me. So I'm a mouthpiece for it till I die. So anyway, I'm just going to stop it there and say thank you so much for bringing me on today.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Eleanor, would you like to tie us up with a nice little bow?
Ooh, the Elvira is the leader of leaders of leaders. And leadership is about inspiring people, and creativity is about inspiring people, because there's a meme that goes around on my social media every once in a while. It's like you can't shame people into change. You can only inspire them into transformation.
Ooh,
I
love
love
it.
that. I love
Yes.
that.
Love it. Love it. Well, I want to thank everybody for taking the time today. We hope that our discussion helped to support your journey wherever you are in that journey. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about us as a movement, the Miracle Magnet Movement, you can reach us at the Miracle Magnet Zone on Facebook. You can reach out to any of us on our social media. We can put those in the comments below or in the tag that's going to go with this podcast. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a beautiful Easter to those who celebrate, and many blessings for the week. And we will see you all next week. Good night.
Bye. Thank
You
you.
Happy Easter.
Thank you.
Happy Passover too.
Happy Passover.